Arielana, and we're here on Curtain Call, episode number, I think around 45. But this is special. Yeah, I know it's pretty wild. We've been interviewing women and non-binary and female identifying people in the arts community, arts world, for a year. I think it's this week, a year this week or a year next week. We started in mid-November, our first Curtain Call, and it was live on Instagram, and all the episodes are still there. And now we've moved to Facebook, so it's more accessible to everybody. Everyone can watch it. And so that's Curtain Call, and presented by Fab Collab, which has been around for almost a year and a half, started during the pandemic, to really feature minority and underrepresented voices in the arts community, especially during the pandemic, but it will extend forever. So today, that sounds like a lot of work. But anyways, today we're featuring the one, the only, the absolutely stunningly gorgeous, incredible, and beautiful Barbie Bontemps.
Oh, thank you so much. After all those kind words, you have me a little bit clamped, but I think I'll survive. How are you doing today, Tamar?
Well, how am I doing? I'm very excited, and I feel extremely perpetually underdressed in your presence, and I will need to step it up next time I see you, for sure.
I mean, you wear whatever you like, darling. This world has no rules. Yes, a little off the shoulder moment. Ooh, we can both do that.
I love it.
Except put it back up. Oh God.
Oh my goodness. Okay, we'll get there.
Right.
So I'm very well, though. Thank you for asking. I'm very excited. And how are you?
You know, I'm doing really well. I'm sitting here pretty, feeling my fantasy, just trudging through daily life. I just got back from a lovely vacation, so I'm feeling very refreshed.
And you look refreshed.
Thank you. This old face.
Oh my God. So for those of you just tuning in, if you don't know Barbie Jo, which now you definitely do, and how could you not know her? Okay, she is. I'm going to talk to the audience. So Barbie Jo is a gorgeous drag performer, as you can see. Philanthropist, I heard about that. I want to ask about that. Community leader, of course. Mother of 4, but we'll have to talk about that because that could mean many things, but I want to talk about what that means in this context. And leader in church in Wellesley community where I lived for a few years. And she's hosted and performed at millions probably, but countless events. I love this, both frivolous and fun generating. Love it. Can't they be both at the same time?
They absolutely can, and they often are.
And I think that's the best. So she has many names, and another one is Mama Mojo. I kind of love that. She's been featured in many events and in competitions, and we're going to get into it. But primarily, she focuses on connecting with community and supporting as many 2S LGBTQIA+ individuals as she can. Yeah, that's amazing. And are you known as Toronto's 50-foot woman?
No, I just say that.
You say that? Well, now you're known as that.
The beauty of writing your own bio is you can say whatever you want.
You should just say the best drag queen in the world.
I mean,
in your bio, right?
I think someone might be a little upset. Some people, many people.
All promo is good promo. Yeah. Yes, glamorous mother of 4, which I mentioned, and we'll get back to that. And a reminder of the original community spirit of drag from days gone by. So I'd love to also talk about that because not everybody knows, about drag and what it is. So let's get right. Did I miss anything crucial and important to who you are?
Absolutely not. I mean, you could have said mouth like a trucker. That would have worked too. Try to keep it PG. It is 2 p.m.
No need. You said this world has no rules, so we're going to abide by that. You can say whatever you like. How's that?
That sounds
okay. Good. So let's get it right into it. First of all, can you, for those of us or those people who have no clue what drag is, can you tell us just briefly what is drag?
Well, I think the only way to answer that question is that drag is so many different things. Like to an individual, drag has its own meaning and its own identity. And then of course there's a history of drag, both, run by in different ways. So there's a traditional history of drag, which would be like the Shakespearean dressed as girl, scenario.
Right.
And then of course there's like the revamping of drags and like the and 90s like underground ballroom scene and 80s underground ballroom scene drags. So there's a lot of different ideas about what drag is. So I usually just tell people that drag is whatever you feel it is and whatever you feel is valid in the art form. But typically it involves some form of gender play, whether you're staying the same gender or changing gender for the evening or changing gender, you know, as part of your performance or whatever. There's some sort of play on gender. And of course, there's often a lot of glamour or, you know, as well as politics. You know, there's been political, you know, ideas shared through drag performance as well. So drag is never just one thing. That's the hardest part, hardest question to answer. What is drag? Well, it's a lot of things.
Yeah, well,
many of which, you know, many of which you can't experience through one person. That's the beauty of drag. You have to really immerse yourself in the full culture to be able to understand the many different facets of the art form.
I love that. It sounds like flamenco. I mean, everything to me sounds like flamenco, but people ask if flamenco, I'm like, it's a lifestyle, you know, like it's a lifestyle. Okay, that's a good start. So, I mean, just by listening to you and having read a little bit about drag, like, I just have a question. Like, can you be like this? You said you can be the same gender and still be drag. So, like, could I be a drag queen as a woman, as a cis-identified woman?
Absolutely. There's many cis-identified women that perform in drag as like female presenting in their drag persona as well. And I think that there's a lot of fun in that because drag itself is fun. It's about interacting with the audience. It's about being silly. It's about performing. It's about saying something. You know, there's many different styles of performance that an individual can do. One of my favorite cisgendered, well, I guess I'm assuming at this point because I'm not really sure, but I assume they're cisgendered. In the city, Dottie Dangerfield is a fantastic cisgendered drag performer, as well as Tash Riot. She's a wonderful live singer and performer, and also is a cisgendered woman. That might also be an assumption. I'm not sure. I'm not sure who's non-binary.
Right, but it's possible. That's possible.
But they are AFAB, which is a term that we use a lot in drag and other communities, which means assigned female at birth.
Right. Okay, so that's possible.
Yeah.
I guess anything is possible.
I mean, when it comes to drag, I hate to quote RuPaul, but we're all born naked and the rest is drag. And it's kind of real because when you think about how you present yourself as an individual with or without a costume or with or without a performance idea, you are putting on a bit of a show of who your interior is. You know, not many people show exactly their soul in every circumstance, interacting with people on a daily basis. So I think that really holds true, and that's kind of the idea of drag, is that you can really be and present whatever character you want. And a lot of it is about developing a character and developing an idea of who that character is and how they interact with other people.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I never thought of it quite like that. That would make a lot of sense. So how do you, like, when was the first time, can I ask you, when was the first time that you dressed in drag, that you performed even?
Oh my gosh. The first time I ever dressed in drag was almost 10 years ago now. I don't even know how long ago. I don't even remember the first time I did drag. But it was for Halloween. My roommates and I in the West End, we were living at Lansdowne in college at the time. We had a Halloween party, and I thought I would dress up as my white trash alter ego, Barbie Jo Bontemps. So I had this like overall skirt and like, you know, plaid, and I carried my baby around. I had a baby. I carried around in an onion bag turned into a baby Bjorn. So it was very, you know, ridiculous to say the least. But that was the first time I ever like dressed as a woman or attempted to dress as some semblance of a woman. Flash forward to my first performance, which was many years later, or maybe a year later, 2 years later, I've been working with this production company, an event company in Toronto They also have an online zine, Mojo Toronto. I am Mama Mojo. They were the two individuals, Monty Terra and Joey Viola were the two individuals that gave me my first performance at their event, FML Mondays, which I have now hosted for the last 9 years.
Wow.
I don't even know how long. It's been that long. Yeah. And we've had many entertainers come through our doors. We've had many fundraisers. We do once a year an LML, Love My Life, where we raise money for different causes. I think the most notable one that we did in the last couple of years was the LML that we had for the victims of the Pulse shooting in Orlando. So that was very, very, I mean, you know, it's always wonderful to be a part of something that is about fun and frivolity and giving back to the community, but also truly giving back to the community and having fundraising moments and being a place, a safe space for a lot of individuals, you know?
So would you say, because you said earlier, not everybody shows their true soul in an everyday interaction with people. So would you say that when you're in drag and even, well, on or off stage, that that's like a demonstration of your true soul?
I mean, I would say that my character and like myself as a person really tries to lead with love and care for people. I mean, obviously, I have a bit of a biting wit because as an entertainer, one must be able to handle oneself on a microphone. But you know, I think that I do show a lot of myself in my work as a drag queen. I definitely perform the music that I want to perform. I wear costumes that I want to wear. I am my own director, my own producer, my own choreographer. Not that I choreograph anything.
I say I'm the same as you.
But,
oh no.
You know, it's really about showing what you want to show, and a lot of what I want to show is that community spirit, that spirit of a mother that, you know, guides wayward homosexuals across the river with the lighthouse or whatever it is. I don't know. But
I love that.
I do my best to try and help people to be comfortable with themselves and to learn to laugh at themselves a lot because, you know, this world is really not fun sometimes. But when you can laugh at some of the stuff that you've gone through and some of the things that you've experienced as a person and that other people have experienced and you can all laugh together, it makes it a lot easier to, you know, feel confident moving forward in your life and being confident in finding solutions.
What gave you that confidence to show yourself, like to be yourself?
The confidence to be myself. I really, you know, it goes back a long time for me as a gay male out of drag, you know, coming out and trying to understand my gender identity along with drag performance. You know, there was a lot of questions that I had, and I don't really feel like that's over. I feel like there's always room to grow and learn about.
Yeah, of course.
Because you know, I identify basically as like I mean, I wouldn't say non-binary, but I wouldn't say that I fall into the binary either. I'm like, I believe that gender is a construct. So if you want to fit into a category of gender, that's up to you. And I definitely look at it from a different perspective. And it's kind of hard to discuss because I don't really live my life in a way that presents that I would believe that. But on my Instagram, my pronouns.
Yeah, go follow. Just to drop that.
Me, BJ Bonta at BJ Bonta. You can follow me.
Put it in. Fab Club team, can you drop it in the chat? Fab Club team's gonna drop it in the chat right now.
My pronouns
people to follow
are she, he, they, because I truly don't care which one people use. In my out of drag life or in my drag life, I guess that qualifies me as non-binary. I'm not sure.
Or both binary.
Yeah, it qualifies me.
By binary.
It qualifies me as the living, breathing entity in this world, and I think that we all can learn to respect each other more and learn from each other more when we let go of constructs that hold us back and that shadow us with this ideology and this history of you know, segregation and, you know, marginalization against communities. You know, as a white male, out of drag and a white female in drag, I don't face as much as other people face in this world. So I'm very happy that I'm a decent listener and that I support all the communities in the Rainbow Village as much as I possibly can, from a place of listening and understanding, more so than putting words into my mouth for those communities.
Ole, ole.
Ole.
I mean, once. Like, can we just pause here so that everyone can see your incredible flamenco outfit that you wore for the occasion? Now that we're doing some ole. Oh my goodness. Ole, ole! You are more flamenco than me. I tried today. I was like, she might come flamenco. At least we match in color. Oh my goodness.
It's a giant.
So gorgeous.
I was in Seville, coincidentally, a couple years ago. And I was with my mother traveling, and we both loved flamenco so much. I lived in Spain for 2.5 years, approximately in total, and it was a wonderful time. And Spain was so wonderful and such a beautiful place, and the culture was so magnetic. And the cultural intersection that created flamenco, and the religious intersection that created flamenco, is one of the things that I find the most magical on this planet. And there is nothing more magical than lying in a bath with candles all around you, listening to some Paco de Lucia, and just vibing out,
We should have just done the interview like that from our bathtubs with candles, just like Paco playing. Okay, I see a stage show coming along right now. A drag flamenco stage show that starts with everybody in their bathtubs with candles.
I wouldn't mind. That sounds like a great time. I love being a cat.
Okay, we'll have to put that on the back burner. Obviously, and on the topic of moms, I can see my mom's comment here that says, "Wow, that was amazing bee for Barbie earrings."
Yeah.
I'm all about it.
These amazing bee for Barbie earrings, minor plug right now, were made by Lonnie Goudreau at Leg Custom Concepts. So if you ever need some costume jewelry, check out Leg Concepts. She's fabulous, quick, easy. She does most of the design for you.
Wild. A tag on Instagram at Leg Concept.
I think that's what it is. I'd have to double check.
We'll find it. Okay, I like that plug. Yeah, plug away. That's what this is all about.
Right?
A platform to show and showcase amazing people in the industry. So let's do it. Oh my god. So you were talking about gender pronouns and he, she, they, and all these things. So that was one of my questions. Like, how do you? I was going to ask how you identify both on and off stage, but you kind of answered that. Although we can totally delve into it.
I identify with all three. Sorry to cut you off. I really identify with.
This is about you.
Because I believe that inside of us there is a masculine, there is a feminine, and there is a neuter, to not to use the term incorrectly, but there is that gender neutral version of ourselves inside. And I feel like a lot of times what we give to people in our regular lives is very performative. We have a lot of expectations set upon us as individuals to behave in a certain way, to look a certain way. And of course, society decides what is appealing within those qualities. So if you're an effeminate male, that's not necessarily always considered the most appealing or desirable presentation of a male entity. But I think that's bullshit. I think we all should be in touch with our feminine and our masculine and our otherwise, because I think it's important to be able to experience those perspectives. On the same topic, one of the things that made me become a better feminist and more able to hear women's experiences and people who present as women and trans-identifying women experiences and AFAB experiences to include all identities of women is being a drag queen. That scary moment when, you notice someone's following you in a car. I would never have experienced that as
right.
So it made me want to listen more and not have as many ideas, but hear the ideas of people that live and breathe this existence on a daily basis, and what that means to them and what that looks like to them, and how we can make spaces more accepting of people that have those struggles or that go through those experiences, because I want, as someone that promotes a party and throws a party, Fuck My Life Mondays at Flash every Monday at 10 p.m. Um, with your host, Miss Barbie Giovanna. We like to make it as safe as possible for all identities, for Black, Indigenous, people of color, and the two-spirited, trans, lesbian, gay, bi, questioning, queer, intersex, asexual, everybody under the umbrella.
Like you're just saying, everybody. Yeah, everybody's welcome.
We really just want everybody to come out and enjoy an amazing drag show, some great cocktails, and we also offer amazing mocktails. So it's, we have
to have an excursion. That club excursion has to happen.
And you get to see me on stage. So what's better than that?
Nothing is better than that except for being on stage with you. I think that would be better than that. I think we have to do it. We have to dance some Sevillanas. Yeah? It's going to happen.
We'll have to work on it before we go on stage. You'll have lots to teach me or remind me of.
Anytime. Leah's also a killer dancer. You met her before when she's in Seville right now. Why do you think she's in Seville? So we'll have to have a Fab Club flamenco party. I think it's going to happen. Oh my God, at your venue, and you can host it. Just putting it out there.
Yeah. They do have a Latin night every Saturday.
Ooh.
We could just co-opt it.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Oh my God.
Just for one night.
Okay. And then repeat it like in 6 months.
Yeah.
Why not? Okay. Oh my God. It's so cool. Let's do it. Okay. Let's go back because I have just listening to you talk generates like so many questions and thoughts and ideas in my head. It's so fascinating. But so AFAB, you're talking about AFAB. For those of you just joining, AFAB is assigned female at birth. So that would be me. But and I want to say, what do you think? I'm so curious. What do you think about the current thought to not do that, to not assign gender at birth? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I feel like you can't really assign somebody their identity at birth. I feel like as humans, we should offer take the knowledge that we have and offer that to the youth of tomorrow and today. And one of those things is that we know being told who you are doesn't help people identify who they are. So I think that's part of it. I think assigning somebody's gender on the moment of their birth just based on their genitalia and their chromosomes, I think is a bit of a hindrance on most people. I would have had a different life had I not been encouraged to be, one way or the other. And I think that goes the same for everybody. I think everyone would have a different version of themselves and a different way of expressing themselves if they weren't told, oh, girls like pink and wear dresses and boys like blue and wear, I don't know, suits or jeans.
I don't even know. I love it.
I'm trying to think of something archaic and I can't.
You're too advanced. Boys look like you.
God, boys can't look like me. Boys can look like whatever they want. They call it, I guess they call it femboy culture now, which is boys that identify as boys use he, him pronouns most of the time and wear full faces of makeup. And I think that's beautiful because makeup was invented for people to feel beautiful and look beautiful. And if that's what somebody wants to wear, it shouldn't really matter how they identify or how they've been medicalized to identify. And that's, I think, the part of your question that's most important and really affects certain communities more than people, more than just, people that are born on a daily basis. There's lots of people that are affected in different ways by the medicalization of their gender. And I think history has a lot to say about that. Intersex individuals, I imagine, in particular, would have a lot to say about, and I know there's probably documentaries about the topic of the medicalization of their sex and trying to understand that as they mature. My expression as an individual has changed throughout my whole life. So I don't understand why, society would hinder the growth of individuals by making them feel like they have to be limited by these terms, one thing
Right.
or another.
I mean, I've also heard people say like that they think it might be confusing for kids if they're not, sort of given a sense of,
the real question is,
or not a phrase that, but like told what they are when they're born. What do you think?
The real question. What isn't confusing to kids? Like kids, like when I was a kid, I was confused about everything. Like sexuality, gender, what I wanted to eat that night. Like it's
fair.
I feel like people need to realize that being a little confused sometimes is actually a part of the learning process. And being like trying to find little bits and pieces of things that you experience through media, television, film, music, dance, visual arts, they all help us to identify things in ourselves little by little, Like the first time I saw someone dancing flamenco, I thought, oh my gosh, I wish I could be dramatic and fabulous and, just.
I think you did it. I think you did it. No, I hear you. Like it's all a sense of discovery anyways, and this is just sort of one more way to discover yourself through life. Where instead of being told to like you're born, you're a policeman, you're born, you're like a whatever person, you're born, you're this, right? So maybe it's just one more thing that people can self-define over the course of time.
Yeah, and I feel like it goes back to like the idea of like, well, you're just this, you can't do that. And I feel like that's exactly what you just said, and exactly what I've been saying is if we tell ourselves that we're one thing, then we limit ourselves. And imagine what humanity could do if we weren't limiting each other and ourselves on a daily basis.
A whole new world.
A whole new world.
Flamenco version? Yeah, I totally see what you're saying. Totally see what you're saying. How would you be different had you not been told you're a boy when you were born?
I don't know. I mean, when I think about more so is like being told I was gay a lot as a kid. I was told I was gay on a regular basis before even really knowing what that meant.
Really?
And I think
Who told you that?
Sorry?
Who told you that?
I mean, peers, like the media, anything that like was a feminized male representation. I identified with that because I was the little boy that put on dresses and put on heels, not regularly, but I liked doing it. And I think at my summer camp, I was always chosen to play the female roles of the musical that we were doing, and I liked that. That's what I wanted to do.
Cool.
But like a lot of the times that you're told, oh, you have to do this or you have to do that, it makes you feel afraid to do anything else. And the biggest part of it is that when you put these stipulations on people, you're creating a certain amount of expectation that also carries with it a large amount of fear. And as you and I both know, and most people know, fear is the silent killer. Like being afraid is what makes so many problems worse and so many things more difficult to conquer later. And I'm not fearless 100%. I will own that till the day that I pass. But it is important to try and find that inner strength to fight back against the fears that we have as individuals, mostly for personal growth and of course to be the person that you want to put into your community and into the world. And I know I've made a lot of mistakes. So.
I mean, who hasn't? I'm perfect. Of course, everybody's made mistakes and it's constant learning. 100%. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I was gonna ask you also, like, I mean, you kind of mentioned it. I was gonna say, like, was that hard? Was there like any hard moments, like as a kid, when you were, dressing differently or acting differently? How did you experience that? Were kids cool with you? Were they difficult? Where did you grow up, actually? Sorry to ask you so many questions at the same time. Toronto, right?
I was born at Wellesley General Hospital when it was still a place.
You're a real Toronto person. I was born at the Western.
So I was born and raised here in Toronto.
Yeah.
I love Toronto. It definitely has its downsides, but it's also a very wonderful place. I found childhood very difficult because of the fact that I was constantly confused about things. And when you have a bunch of people, your peers, your family, putting pressure on you, pardon me, it becomes difficult to understand what you are, who you are, and what you want to do, and what that means, and what that looks like. Because the more you're trying to live up to other people's expectations, the more you're ignoring your own. And that's the part that's most confusing about growing up with a lot of stipulations on you as an individual. And I read somewhere or saw a Twitter post somewhere. I don't know. I'm terrible with technology and I forget things all the time. But it was basically a post where someone says, as queer people, we live our lives in an identity that is about us appeasing what other people want from us until we reach a certain point where we're able to finally live for ourselves and be our true selves. And, a lot of basically highlighting that a lot of the mental health challenges that come with being a queer individual or queer identifying, happens when you try to go from this space of, well, this is what everyone else thinks I am, and this is what I know I am. What do I do?
Yeah. How do you balance that? Oh my goodness.
I mean, you deal with it one day at a time. It's like anything else in life. You ask yourself questions and you answer them with experiences or conversations or, a really amazing piece of music or a fun night out dancing. Sometimes you come to realizations about yourself in the strangest ways. And I'm sure thinking back, you can probably, now that I've said it, you can think of moments where you had an aha moment or a realization about yourself or something that you had gone through, and it was in a time that was completely unrelated. And that's the beauty of music and song and dance and visual art and representation of artistic creativity in any way. It's it really pushes the human mind in a way that just sitting down and thinking about things doesn't.
Yeah, totally agree. And what about your parents? Are you close with them now? Do they come to your shows? Are they super supportive or not? Look at that face.
I don't know if they're watching or not, but if they're not,
I hope they're watching. Hi.
I'm kidding. I'll tell you anyway.
I met your mom.
They are supportive in their way. I would, they're older. My parents are almost 70 now. They're 68. They look good, but they're a little older.
They look really good.
Yeah, you met them. I forgot.
Yeah. I loved it.
My birthday. I totally forgot.
That's so fun.
I was so in the zone between you and I forgot they were there. Sorry.
It's like another world. Yeah, it's okay.
Right? I was transported. I told you to Spain. I was sitting there listening to Voltaire, and I was just like, I can't. They're supportive. They do not really come to any of my events, but I don't mind that, to be honest. They don't really know enough about my culture or the culture of being queer or 2SLGBTQIA plus or being, anything in the rainbow community. And that's okay. They don't need to know about it because they respect my existence and they respect the existence of other people. And that's enough for me. I mean, my mom has helped me out here and there, buying me a pair of shoes when I really need it, a pair of heels. And she gave me a flash palette for Christmas. There's little things that show that she notices that I'm interested in. But I think it's still kind of strange for them, which is fine. I mean,
fair enough.
It is kind of strange, when you think about it.
I don't know. Once you said the Shakespeare thing, I was like, this isn't strange at all. This has been going on forever, and it used to be completely normal. It's normal and anormal depending on where you are in the world and in time.
Beyond that, anthropologically, third sexes and other genders and societies other than North American, even North American society have existed since the dawn of time. Two-spirited individuals in the indigenous community. The third gender in Indian communities and whatnot. There's a lot of different examples. I'm not a very smart individual when it comes to sociology, anthropology. So if you have more interest in that topic, look it up. And I'm going to stop talking about it right now before I say something wrong or put my foot in my mouth.
And drop your questions in the chat because I can see them and read them to Barbie. If anybody has questions or comments. Ask you anything? Oh my goodness, ask her anything. I want to know, like, what about Toronto drag scene is like special or different or distinguishes it as its own community and own scene as opposed to like, New York or other places or like a small town, just anything. What makes Toronto like a cool drag place?
Well, I would say
or the scene, the whole scene, the rainbow scene.
I would say that Toronto is very spoiled with their drag scene in the sense that there is a lot of talent and creativity in the performance space here in Toronto. Performers of all identities, all genders, all expressions. We've got creepy drag and fun drag and beauty drag and silly drag.
It's creepy drag.
I don't know what creepy drag is, but it exists.
It's your first example.
I can't give you an example. If I give you an example, it's going to be someone's name, and then they might be hurt. I don't.
Well, it's just Halloween, so we'll chalk it up to them.
They'll call me and be like, Barbie, why did you call my drag creepy online? And I'll be like, shit, I fucked up.
Keep going. Keep going, Barbie. Keep going.
So I think the Toronto drag scene is really special because of that fact. There's a lot of talent here, but more so, it's a smaller city, so the competition is fierce. So you got to stand out. You got to make a name for yourself. You got to make yourself seen and noticed. We have so many open stages happening in the village right now. For those of you who are watching and you're interested in checking out some newer performers, which I highly recommend because sometimes seeing seasoned veterans all the time can be a little monotonous. I know because I've seen probably more drag shows than everybody watching.
Probably.
They have open stage nights on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, pretty much at a different bar in the village. At FML, I started a new segment within the party called Fresh Meat Live, where we give a spotlight performance to one new performer on Monday. A lot of the open stages I was obsessed with, but they had a lot of people coming on and performing. So I wanted to offer something different where a girl would get a chance to see what it's like to have a spotlight performance where you're the only person, they're looking at you, and work. Give us what you want to give us. I tell
that's so awesome.
Every single time I say, we want to see your drag. Don't go up there and give me what you think I want. I want you to go up there and do what you do and what you do best, because that's how you market yourself. You have to know what your strengths are, and to know what your strengths are, you need to practice and do it. I'm sure with dancing and singing and all the things that you do, you creative little powerhouse, talented thing. I'm sure that you have practiced many hours to do the things that you do. And I think that's most important is the thousands and millions of hours we've practiced to be able to do the things that we do. It really shows after a while.
To make it seem easy.
I mean, I think there's probably people out there that think this is easy for me, but it's really, it's still a struggle.
Yeah, good. I mean, it always is a bit of a struggle. I find when I'm struggling the most is sometimes when I'm the best kind of artist.
Right.
I mean, a lot of the best art comes from struggle, and even genre-wise,
Absolutely.
Flamenco for sure. Many other things. Okay, so you host. I want to ask you, is your whole life and career dedicated to this art form, or do you do anything else? People ask me that all the time, about flamenco.
So I wouldn't say my whole life and art and creativity is dedicated to just drag. I used to sing a lot more. I loved singing when I was in high school and out of high school, and I still have been singing over the pandemic. My friend Ivory Towers, who has a Twitch channel, twitch.tv/The Ivory Towers, she hosts wonderful events on the evenings. A lot of it is video game oriented because that's what the Twitch platform is about. But she and Helena Poison and Amber Gurr, 3 drag queens, got together and put together these power hours of drag throughout the pandemic. And for each one of my videos, I decided that I was going to live sing and record the video for it.
Nice.
So there is a recording somewhere out there in La La
We'll find it.
of me live singing Never Too Much by Luther Vandross while performing in a bubble bath.
Oh my God, you did the bubble bath thing. You already did it.
Yeah. I was inspired by my friend Shada Hudson, another friend.
Oh my God, I know them. I did a burlesque show with them.
Jada is
and I was like so like enamored by her.
Oh, she is incredible.
I was very enamored.
Absolutely marvelous people I've ever met in my life. Just such a unique energy. And the most entertaining person.
So beautiful.
You should check out her music on YouTube. One of the videos.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Shaking a bottle of champagne in a bathtub and spilling it all over herself. It's perfect.
Perfect. That's how we're gonna start the show. Oh my God, that's awesome. Okay. And I just have a couple questions that I know we're coming up on the hour, but thanks everybody for tuning in and stay with us. Like time flies with Barbie Joe over here. Oh my God. Okay, so I wanted to. Yeah, good. I mean, this is about you. That's what it's supposed to be. I was gonna say, like, how do you feel like a different person, or are you like always the same person? Or do you feel like when you put drag on, like you're a different facet of yourself, or like do they intertwine, like your on and off stage personas, or you know what I mean, like, or are they two distinguished people or characters? I guess you could say.
Have you ever had someone else do your makeup or your hair, and then seen it at the end and gone, "Wow, I look different"? And then
one time I had somebody put on my makeup, and I was like, "Oh my God, I look like a drag queen." And I was like, wow, I gotta go out like this right now.
Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
I didn't say it's bad. I was like, I said I have to go out on, like, I'm like, I must go out on stage, like, immediately. Right. Yeah. I'm like, I have to use this moment.
There's a moment for each one of us, for myself included, where a certain part of your drag goes on and a different personality comes, not a different personality, but a different version of your own personality comes through really strong. I would definitely say that I'm more fearless as a drag queen than I am as a man. Ooh. I would definitely say that I am more gregarious and outgoing as a drag queen than I am as a man. But I'm fairly outgoing as a man.
Yeah,
so.
I know. I met you as a man, I think. I'm assuming here. Yeah.
So it's, it really, I just think there's a transformative experience for each person when the character is there. And for me, a lot of times sometimes it's when I put on my lashes. That's near the end of when my makeup is done. Sometimes it's when I put on the wig. And sometimes it's not until I step in the door of the venue and I just feel like energized to be there.
Does it ever not happen? And you're in like that moment of transition doesn't happen? And you're like struggling?
Well, I'm sure you know with your own art form that there's days where you're just so not into it.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. When you're tired or when you
it's hard.
have like 2 shows in a row and it's just like grating on you a little bit. I love to perform and I love my art, but there is that one day out of 365 where I'm just like, nope, I've had enough. Today is not the day.
Yeah, no, I hear that. But you have to do it. The show must go on, my friend.
The show must go on. And you know what? When you've done it as long as I have and as you have, you know how to tap into that turning it on moment. Like that moment where
totally.
All right, it's time to work. It's time to show these people why I love this. Let's do this.
Totally. Yeah. So we're going to have to go. When's your next show? This Saturday?
My next show?
I'd like to see you transform into that moment.
I think my next show is Monday.
Oh, Monday. Okay, good. Because I have a show Saturday. I can't come. So Monday I'm coming.
Yeah, every Monday you can find me in Flash at around 10:15. Don't hate me, Monty and Joey, if you're watching. 10:15.
Why?
Because I'm always late.
I hear you. I'm always late. Oh,
and we have 3 performances, 11:15, 12:15, and 1:15. It does run kind of late for people that have desk jobs. But it is a fabulous evening. We support non-drinkers. We have a whole list of mocktails. So if there's any non-drinkers watching, you're welcome. And it is a safe space for all sexual and gender identities as well as religious identities. As long as everyone's respecting each other in those 4 walls, I'm happy.
Yeah. Aw, that's perfect. I'm going to come for sure. And before we go, because we're introducing somebody next week, but I just want to ask you, like, what does it mean to be a mother of 4 in the drag world? Please tell us.
So being a mother of 4 means a lot of different things and a lot of patience. Motherhood, motherhood in all its facets has one unifying factor: patience. If you are not patient, you're not going to go anywhere. But as a drag mother, it means that a lot of different things, but the most typically accepted version of what drag mother means is to put somebody in drag for their first time. So you can be a drag mother by doing someone's makeup for the first time. But what my children are to me and what my family is to me is, a way of being supportive of one another. It's exactly like a regular nuclear family. It's just a chosen nuclear family. So my children, my oldest, Bon Bon Bonton, so Candy Good Times, Bon Bon Bonton. She and I met in university when I was doing my undergrad at Dalhousie. She was also there doing her undergrad in environmental science. So we met through that. And many years later, she showed interest in drag and asked me if I would help her. And we've been family ever since. And I have a number of other children. My youngest child, I believe you will be meeting soon. Her name is Las Rose. And she's kind of like a co-parented drag child of the universe. Myself and my wonderful roommate who designed this costume, this Batinicola gown, is Demand Attention. We are her mothers. So go out there and follow Demand Attention on Instagram as well. If you ever need a beautiful costume made, like
oh my god, I do. I'm gonna have to tell her. It's Demand with no E, right? Demand.
Yes, it's just DMAND.
Demanda. Like Amanda, but with a D. Right? Amanda, but with a D. Like yeah. Demanda.
Yeah,
Tension.
Exactly. Tension.
Right? Okay. Just telling people so they can check it out.
All of my costumes, and she's my sister. She's my wife at this point. Basically, we're basically married.
Hi, Demanda.
I told her to be quiet. I told her to stay in her room. Quiet.
Well, we'll say hi to her, and you'll tell her hi. You'll tell her hi.
I will tell you, and hopefully you'll meet her one day. She's fabulous.
Oh, definitely.
She does shows in the village as well.
Cool.
And she's drag for a long time as well. So we raising these kooky kids together and just trying to take care of them and give them advice and pointers. And it goes beyond just what you wear and how you look and what you do on your face.
Right.
Reminding them, listen, if you're not adding positivity into the space, then you're not adding to the space. So,
ooh, I like that.
Children sometimes, maybe you don't need to comment on that. Or maybe if you can't get along with that person, maybe you shouldn't be speaking to them at all. There's
it's like kindergarten all over again.
Sorry?
It's like kind of like kindergarten for life. I always feel like those first lessons, like we just keep on having to remind ourselves.
Well, sometimes when you're 20 years old or 22 or 25, you haven't necessarily experienced the same things as other people. And sometimes I learn, and I'd say a lot of times I learn from my drag children as well, about inclusivity and all kinds of things. And it really helps to connect more than one generation of individual within an art form to truly understand and get a good picture and a good education in that art form. There's a reason why painters had apprentices and, sculptors had apprentices and, dancers had apprentices. People need to learn traditionally you learned your art form from a master. And I'm no master, but I'm certainly a jack of all trades. So I do my best to share with my kids what I know, and whatever I don't know, Demanda's got my back because she knows all the other stuff I don't. So we make a good little family unit, that's for sure.
Well, we're going to see Last Rose next week, same time, same place. And can you give us like an example of like what's a piece of advice you would give to her, or what's a piece of advice you would give to somebody entering, the drag world for the first time?
Well, I always remind people that when you go on stage, don't worry about who's out there. Don't worry about how many of them there are. Don't worry about anything like that. Just go up on stage and show people why you love to do what you do. That's what art and performance and the best thing I can tell my children is, because it gives them the confidence to try different things, to be different, to be weird, to not fit into the mold. And I think that there's a certain amount of fitting in that we all have to do to some degree in order to monetize our art. But it also speaks to the art if you can exist outside of those games. And I really think that that includes, being a part of your community and being a respectable member of your community, not just being there, but also sharing with people the goodness of your heart. It's one of the rarest things in our culture is people just sharing goodness and being good into their space collectively. So that's what I'd like to foster in my family and in my children is a spirit of goodness and the willingness to do whatever they want to do.
So beautiful. Would the same advice apply for off stage? Like for, if they're not in drag and just like walking down the street?
Absolutely. I just say, just own it. If someone calls you a name, you know what? Who cares? You probably are that name and own it. Like, fuck it. It shouldn't matter, the amount of times I've had things yelled out of car windows at me, and my response is just, thank God your eyes work. Like, like point out something I don't know, and then maybe I'll be ashamed or sensitive. But I think that's part of the most important lesson that our children can learn is to not be ashamed of themselves, not be ashamed of who they are and what they want to represent, as long as it's bringing goodness into the world. As long as it's adding and not subtracting.
And what would you say, like, to somebody, what's like kind of like the biggest, I guess, I don't know what I'm missing the word right now in my mind, but like things that people think about the drag world. I know there's a better word for this. Misconceptions, I guess, or preconceptions. What would you kind of want to break down to an outsider that might see the world in a certain way? What would you want them to walk away with, like understanding or a renewed understanding of, or a different perspective about, like what's the
I think what I would want people to walk away with is if you know a drag queen or want to know a drag queen, spend the time to get to know that person. I feel like a lot of times people think that drag is just very surface and narcissistic and about looking pretty and about being pretty and acting pretty and pretty this, pretty that. There's a whole lot to all of us as individuals, and that's why I can't really nail down one thing that I want everyone to know that isn't a stereotype, but like
that's the word.
We all, it's like in The Merchant of Venice, which is arguably one of the most anti-Semitic plays ever written, but also has wonderful ideas in it. The line where Shylock says, "If you prick me, do I not bleed?" And I think that's the most important thing to remember is that we are all human beings, and at the end of the day, we all bleed the same color. And it's important for us to learn how to listen to one another in order to gain respect and understanding for each other, And that's, I think, the only way to smash stereotypes in this world is to close your mouth and open your ears. I had a fabulous Uber driver in Milwaukee, Wisconsin say, my father always said to me, you know why God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth? So you could listen twice as much as you talk. Except
that is like the I know, I'm like, and the end. Except during interview. No, that's what's my turn. Everyone takes their turns. Wow, thank you so much. Is there anything that like I've missed or that you really want to say or get across, or any plugs or anything at all? Oh, I just have to tell you, Cody Harper, my gorgeous, incredible, beautiful Indigenous fancy shawl dancer, and just so many other things, and wise woman in this world, is saying that she's in love with Barbie. She's like, I'm in love with Barbie. I'm like, who isn't? Who isn't? Yeah. Hi, Cody Beauty.
Right.
So we'll go back to that question.
I guess my only plug is follow me on Instagram at BJ Bontemps, BJBONTEMPS. Follow me on Instagram or Facebook at Barbie Jo Bontemps, I believe is my title. And come check out, if you can, a Monday night show at Flash with Mojo Toronto, starting at 10 p.m. every Monday at Flash on Church. Everyone's welcome.
Aww. Wait, I have one more question. I forgot. How do you get your name? Does somebody give it to you? How do you get your name in a drag world? Do you choose it yourself?
My name was basically just decided upon between me and my roommate. It's kind of tongue in cheek.
I know. I got that.
If you boil it down, I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Yeah, I got it.
We'll leave it at that.
But I mean, is there like a tradition to that? Like, do other people name you, or do you get to generally decide like on your own name?
You typically get to decide on your own name unless, I guess, you ask your drag mother for your name or your drag mother gives you your name.
Got it.
I think Bamba and I talked about her drag name and chose it together, as I remember correctly. My memory is hazy, but I think we chose it together. Some of my other children, like Last Rose, she already had her name when I
got it. Yeah. Got it. Well, that's also a good place to end because Last Rose, you just mentioned it. She's going to be here next week with us, and I can't wait. So everybody, gather your questions, gather your thoughts. Feel free to reach out. You know, I think Barbie Jo Bontemps is pretty open to hearing from everybody, answering questions. Go see her live because, oh my God, who wants to meet me there on Monday? Hit me up and we'll go. Yeah. And come back next week, next Thursday, same time, same place. We'll be with Last Rose. And also come on Saturday because we're going to be Fab Clubs at Kerner Hall. Last minute surprise. An artist couldn't make it from Venezuela, and they've asked us to step in and put on a crazy show. It's called Women in Song, and it's the first half of the show, and the second half of the show is Daime Arocena. She's an incredible Cuban singer, powerhouse woman from Havana. She's like amazing. And we're going to do a show, and we'll be featuring Tara Monica, Iraqi singer, 17-year-old winner of The Voice in Iraq. She's so beautiful. And she was in our last minute song. Eliana Cuevas, Latin jazz. And who am I missing? Aline Morales, Afro-Brazilian. You know, all women that I'm totally in love with, backed by Ventanas. And you can be in person, so can get your in-person tickets. You can't come in person. It's online. And I think that's all my news and all my announcements. And Barbie Jo, I'm so happy to hang out with you for a bit.
You know what? This has been absolutely wonderful. Ever since I met you sitting on the patio of that restaurant on my birthday, just absolutely captivated by you and your band. You know, as soon as I saw that it was going to be flamenco, I wanted to stay the whole night. And of course, my aged parents, God bless, God love you, Mom and Dad, couldn't handle staying that past 7 p.m. or something.
That's okay. It'll be back. It's just the beginning.
You know,
it's the beginning, my friend. Yeah, well, I'm so happy. Thank you so much for answering all these questions, for all the insights, the openness. Really, it's incredible.
Thank you so much, and thank you to everyone watching. It's been an absolute pleasure to share the answers to these questions and my soul with y'all. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. And thank you, Tamar. Thank you, Fab Collab. And maybe we'll see each other again on stage for the show.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.